Ooh, things are happening. Restream.io. Are you working? Yay, there's something there. That's fascinating. That took about 12 seconds. Cool. And that looks like a thing. Yeah, I can see my delay. 30 frames per second. Doing the thing. Huzzah, huzzah. This is what learning looks like. Stay in school, kids. This is a nightmare. Oh, you can't go to school. No. Damn it. Oh. Everything's terrible. Alright, says it's sending data to Twitch. Says I'm online in YouTube. It says I'm online at Periscope. I don't know if that's real or not, since there's 2 people watching it at YouTube. I'm so sorry. This is entirely just a test. Come on, Lightning. Thanks, Dominic. I feel like now we should just go into it. We should just do the thing. Oh, hello. What's up, Nurple and Lash? Good vibes. Thanks for the good vibes. This is me trying to figure out whether I know what I'm doing, and the answer is no. The answer is always no. I have no idea what I'm doing. That's what I'm here for. The complete and utter failure and ignorance. Cool. Awesome. I feel like I should have launched much more officially and much more legitimately, but I mean that's very off-brand for me. It should all just be a disaster from the get-go. If you're just tuning in, I did a podcast for a lot of quarantine called the Homebodies. You can see it behind me. And then I realized that I was committing about 4 to 5 hours a day doing a podcast, like a excited, positive news energy podcast, which is awesome, but isn't my career or what like my focus was. And I quickly realized that we weren't going to be allowed to film for a very, very long time. And so I thought I should instead dedicate those hours every day to trying to make a movie. Many of you tuning in probably know that I'm in the middle of post-production on another movie. It's an adaptation of Macbeth. It's very ambitious. I've had to teach myself 3D animation and motion capture for it, which has been a learning curve, much like this. But it's coming along, and we're getting there brick by brick by brick, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. But it's still a long ways off, and it requires a lot of moving parts and a lot of other people, and I wanted to literally figure out what I could do from home, at home, as we are all sheltering, and as those of us that are not sheltering may or may not have access to work and employment. For those that don't know, I'm an actor and a voiceover actor. I'm very lucky to have had a really cool career over the last 20 years. I have over 100 IMDb credits. I'm very, very grateful for everything that I've gotten, but right now there is a massive slowdown and shutdown, and it means that there's not really a safe way yet to return, because if you don't know, film sets are just disease-ridden, just because it's a lot of random strangers coming together, not even like the same strangers every single day, to work very long hours to push themselves completely to the brink, both artistically and physically, which is part of the craft and part of the joy, also sometimes part of the stress, but it means that people's immune systems are compromised, and people are in really close quarters, and people are, often spreading whatever they've got. And so colds frequently go around a cast or a crew. It is no mystery that it will be easy to spread contamination, and that's not safe for people. And so I love that we are taking this pause to figure out how to return safely, and I'm so grateful to the producers that are doing it the right way and not just rushing. But the news got announced yesterday that Zendaya has been making a feature film during quarantine, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's the first feature film during quarantine. And I love that, and I love her, and that's fantastic, and they can absolutely have the first title. We don't have to fight over it. But I was like, me too? I am also doing that and have been doing that, and I work very much in incubation and isolation, and I thought maybe that's a mistake. Maybe this is one of those rare moments where showing the process would have more value. And so the biggest thing on a set, whether you're visiting, whether you're working, is there's this lovely little area called Video Village, which is where the monitors are set up so that people can see what's happening. The designers and the director and the producers and the writers, the creative team can see what's happening without being in the middle of set, so that way wires and people walking around and moving and the actors and everybody can just focus on their work while sending out the signal for everybody to watch. And a big thing on my sets is I've barely had the crew to make... I almost never have a monitor on my set, because that's how small scale the productions I've been able to direct and produce have been, because we just don't have access to budget. And I've never really had a video village on one of my sets. And I thought something we talked about during Macbeth was to try to figure out how to basically allow for on-set visits and for people to come and watch the show, especially some of our backers, our higher-end backers. And we started to do the number crunching on what it would take to do a video village on that set, and it was just not possible. We would have basically had a video village crew for the video village for that one day. And I began looking at ways that you might be able to do it virtually, and I told myself if I ever did another feature, I would want to figure out a way to do kind of a virtual video village, to be able to, whether completely publicly or semi-publicly, invite either select people or everyone to participate in that process and watch the making of the movie. So, I'm making a movie. It's called The Homebodies. I've been working on it for a while now, and there's just two of us. There's just two of us that have been sheltering in place. I've been sheltering for off and on 126 days, 28 days. I had a few days in there that I actually had a job that was very, very safe, very, very contained. I didn't interface with other humans, but I had a job that I could go to, which was great and fortunate, and allowed me to keep the lights on. So thank you. But it meant that there's been two of us just hacking away at this thing, and it's allowed us to get very, very creative. And what it is that we are making a feature film in chronological order. So we wake up every day, we figure out what scene would come next in our story, we decide, and then we improvise it. We make up the script, make up what our characters would say and do, what's going on in this moment, what we want from this moment, and then we kind of shape and, through repetitive improv. If anyone's familiar, I did a series called Last Call last summer. That was at a bar where we hosted actors and we did dramatic improvisation, which is a experience that I am very, very fond of, whether it's Carol Churchill or Mike Lee or one of my mentors, the late Dan Ireland, who would lead you through dramatic improvisations to find character beats, and then you would repeat, and slowly develop a script that was kind of felt very solid and felt authentic to your character and to the moment, and was all based off of what you and your fellow actor brought. And so we thought, what if we made a whole movie this way in chronological order? So then we started, basically after you improv the scene and have the script, we have to storyboard it and figure out how we're going to make it and where we're going to shoot it from. And we didn't want it to feel like quarantine content where you're just stuck in the same room in the same angle forever. So we tried to get very ambitious with a bunch of stuff that sometimes doesn't work and sometimes does, but it's just the two of us. So to knock it all off, I thought I would start with, we're still shooting and making it, but because there's only two of us, the production demand is exhausting, and it's incredible. It's cool what we're doing, but it's not really shareable, because we'd be balancing 8 things while trying to film and then trying to engage with an audience, and it's just not possible. We tried, we failed. But what I'm going to do is we are shooting multi-camera for the most part. So we typically have 2 cameras rolling on everything that's happening. So what I thought I would do is I'm going to sit down every day that I can, and we're either filming new stuff or I'm editing what we've captured. And I'm going to pick a multi-camera take of 2 angles and just play that take in full while talking through it. So you're literally going to be looking back on something we shot last week or yesterday, and there's holes, there's problems, there's rough edges. That's independent filmmaking. But I'm welcoming all of you to be in our virtual video village, to be a part of this experience. And I'm very nervous, and I don't know whether this is going to work, and I don't know whether this is a terrible idea or not. But I'm grateful to everybody that's in the chat, that I can see you. Hello. Ask questions. Give me ideas, give feedback. I mean, I've been on many sets where people that we didn't want the feedback from gave us feedback, and then people that had really great, insightful feedback that we would otherwise wouldn't have ever heard or gotten. So this is a collaborative process. It's a collaborative art form. I do not know when I will be employed again. which is devastating and terrifying. But more than that, I don't know when I'm going to be collaboratively creative again with my fellow creative community. And so many artists in this moment are hurting and they're scared. And when we're scared, we make bad choices. We either start giving up our rights or our safety, or we start taking very little money for the same work. Scarcity is always a bad model to go from. So if this can give a small sandbox, a small playground of opportunity to collaborate with some people so that they feel that sense of daily fulfillment, that I am working on something, I'm a part of something. We're making this weird chronological I'm saying no words right now. This chronological improvisational feature. And that's what I'm going to make right now. Cool. So with that, I'm going to sneak over to today's little glimpse at our virtual village. And this is very first shot of the movie. We have a 2-camera setup. So we have a webcam of my face. And then you're going to see on the right this slow, steady, one-take movement shot that is literally... I'm holding the camera up to the screen, slowly passing it back to Ashley. She's grabbing it from me and continuing the move onto the bed to pull wider and wider and wider and wider and wider to reveal that my character, who was previously making some uncomfortable noises, he is a voiceover actor, and he is doing a voiceover session in his closet, much like real life, which is where I've been doing my voiceover sessions for the past and the foreseeable future. He's talking to an audio engineer named Gary that is helping him through the session, often slides him extra work and other jobs. They have a little fun banter that they do back and forth together, and we kind of meet them. And obviously, there's this black box that you can see in the bottom right corner. And the idea would be that we would work with another actor who is stuck at home as well, and they would then be able to composite themselves in by shooting themselves at home. And they would then become Gary, our audio engineer. And so the way we're trying to do this is to work with other artists and actors that are also looking for the opportunity, have some equipment at home, want to make use of it, want to be creative. And so this would be a way for them to basically insert themselves in our movie as we come up with organic ways that people would be just video chatting, not because there's a quarantine, not because there's a virus, none of that. This is a completely independent story from the events of the outside world. If anything, this is a recession story. When this event first happened, I told Ashley that I had an idea for a comedy about a couple that gets into the webcam business, so basically like cam girls. But it turns out she's not really as into it, and he's much better at it, and so he becomes a cam boy. And then it's the evolution of their experience as he starts camming. And it's, in some ways, for me, kind of a reflection on what this new community has become of us all filming ourselves online and building these small communities and doing Patreon and doing Twitch streams and doing all these things. That culture of kind of transactionalizing connection, and what that means, and how that changes people, and what happens when your life becomes on camera for an audience that is not actually part of your immediate relationships, and what that does to your immediate relationships. So that's the artsy-fartsy story that I want to tell and explore from a human condition level and see how it goes. If you have any questions, you can hit me up on any of the platforms using the handle Brendan A. Bradley. You can leave me comments and messages here, and this is just going to be a fun little thing that I experiment with doing every single day, where I set up a shot, I cut to a single take from 2 angles, talk about it and what we did, and then kind of sign off with any last thoughts. So thanks for showing up. Thanks for sticking around. Hello to everybody in the chat. Thanks for your patience as I put all this together. It was something we wanted to start a long time ago. However, we'll get into that story another day. That's more content. That's my big tease. So come back tomorrow for the real story. Thanks for showing up. I'll